My name's Julia Adams. I'm 29, and I'll never forget what my dad said that Christmas morning. He handed my younger sister a house key wrapped in a velvet box beaming with pride, and me a piece of paper that says, "Our Pride." When I asked why she got a whole house, he simply patted my shoulder and said, "You'll understand one day." I said nothing, just sat there smiling tightly as they celebrated around me. To understand why that moment hit so hard, you need to know how things were growing up in our Boston suburb. Lily and I were close in age, but you'd think we lived in different universes. She was the dreamer, the messy-haired, paint-smudged artist our parents adored. Even as she stumbled financially and struggled into her 30s, they never stopped cheering her on as if her chaos was charm. And then there was me, the reliable one. I aced school, landed a scholarship to Northeastern, and built a stable career in finance. Downtown office, great salary, harbor view. I did everything right, just not right enough to be noticed. By 29, I had what my parents always said they wanted for us: stability. A waterfront apartment, solid investments, and a career that paid well. But when I got there, no one clapped. Numbers are safe. Julia, Dad would shrug when I mentioned a raise. Somehow climbing the ladder became the boring route. Meanwhile, Lily was always brave for chasing dreams. Her bravery meant 10 years of rent checks from our parents, endless art supplies, and little to show for it. I, on the other hand, hadn't asked for a cent since college. Holidays became a routine. Lily would show up late, usually mid-crisis, some failed exhibit, some unsupportive boyfriend. My parents would leap to her side with advice and cash. I'd sip wine in the corner, invisible, like background furniture. Last Thanksgiving hit different. I just locked down a massive account, saved my job during layoffs, and landed a huge bonus. When I tried to share, Mom interrupted. "That's wonderful, sweetie, but Lily's landlord raised the rent again. We've got to help her." That night, I heard Dad whisper to Lily, "We'll take care of it. We always take care of family." The irony stung. Back at my hotel, I lay awake wondering, was I not part of that definition? Despite it all, I loved them. I knew Lily battled anxiety under her artsy persona, and Mom and Dad just wanted to shield her. I taught myself to be enough to celebrate wins on my own terms. But deep down, I still wished they'd notice. That they'd really see me, not just the results, but the person behind them. That's why I went home for Christmas. I'd nearly backed out, thought about faking a work trip or flying somewhere warm alone. But Christmas was different. It had history. It was the one time we played happy like when we were little, and I had a plan. A gift for Dad that cost more than I should have spent. Something that would show him I wasn't just the safe one. I was someone who understood loyalty, who understood family. In October, during a quick visit, I'd gone looking for photo albums with Mom. Instead, I found foreclosure notices. A whole stack, all with Dad's name on them. Turns out Dad's contracting business had been drowning for years. He never said a word during our weekly check-ins, and the house we grew up in just 3 months from foreclosure. I didn't confront him. I called the bank, used most of my savings, sold off investments, and cleared the debt. It took weeks of paperwork and planning. It drained my safety net. But the mortgage was gone. The house was ours again. I had the deed sealed in a sleek little box, gold wrapping, red bow. Dad's Christmas colors. I pictured his reaction, the practical daughter saving the family home. No drama, no need for applause. Maybe then he'd understand what I did wasn't just smart. It was love, just in a different language. Driving to my parents' house that snowy Christmas Eve, I felt it, nervousness tangled with hope. This year would be different. It had to be. Flurries drifted down as I pulled into our driveway. Through frosted windows, I saw the familiar glow of our old Douglas fir and decades-old ornaments. Mom always kept the same decorations, crooked popsicle stick stars and chipped glass bulbs that told our story. I lingered in the car, breathing in the cold. The box with the deed sat safe in my bag, waiting. This year, I whispered to myself, would be the year I finally broke through whatever invisible wall kept me separate. Lily's old VW was already there, parked at an angle, snow collecting on the roof. Of course she beat me there. I almost rolled my eyes. She probably didn't work a full day. Then felt a flicker of guilt for even thinking that. Mom opened the door with a warm hug that smelled like cinnamon and pine. We were wondering when you'd get here. Rough traffic. Just had to wrap a few things up at work, I said, brushing snow off my coat. The house was glowing, garlands on the banister, candles flickering on every table. Lily breezed in from the kitchen, wine in hand, hair now a bold red. In her green sweater, she looked like a Pinterest-perfect Christmas elf. I glanced down at my navy turtleneck and jeans, pure practicality. Corporate finally let you go, she teased, hugging me one-armed. I was just telling them about a possible spring gallery show. That's exciting. I smiled, meaning it mostly. Meanwhile, my own news, maybe being named senior analyst, was already fading into the background again. Dinner was awkward. Dad barely touched his plate, lost in thought. Mom kept the conversation limping along with questions about Lily's latest gallery events and new friends. When they asked about my job, I gave clipped answers. Their eyes glazed almost immediately, like they were checking a box, not actually listening. I caught them whispering to Lily more than once, sharing loaded glances when they thought I wasn't watching. That old ache crept in, the one where I felt like a guest in my own family. Later, with hot cocoa in hand, the whispers got bolder. Should we tell her now? I heard Mom ask softly. Tomorrow, Dad muttered, his voice taut with tension. Lily met my gaze with a flash of guilt, then quickly shifted gears. How's the harbor view from your place? I described the way the sunlight hit the harbor each morning, but my mind was spiraling. Did they know? Was this about the mortgage? What were they hiding? That night I lay awake in my old bed, staring at those faint glow-in-the-dark stars from middle school. The creaks of the house, once familiar and soothing, now sounded like secret shifting behind the walls. I remembered Christmases past. Lily getting deluxe oil paints while I unwrapped sweaters for college. The year Dad spent hours installing Lily's art programs while my school laptop stayed untouched in the corner. Every time my useful gifts got a nod. Hers got fanfare. It wasn't jealousy. I loved Lily. I just lived in a different orbit, one that rarely caught their spotlight. What stung was this. Her chaos drew admiration, while my stability seemed unremarkable. Christmas morning came in with soft gray light and a hint of that old magic, until it all came rushing back, the secrets, the mortgage, the distance. I got ready, like I was suiting up for battle. Red sweater, neat slacks, a little makeup. Just enough to feel prepared. Downstairs, cinnamon rolls were warming, coffee brewed strong. Lily in flannel pajamas looked cheery. Dad stood at the window, shoulders tight beneath his robe. Merry Christmas, I said a little too brightly. They turned surprised, as if they'd forgotten I was even there. Merry Christmas, sweetie. Mom smiled almost too quickly. Want some coffee? Everything carried on like clockwork. Breakfast together, holiday music in the background, same as always. Christmas music floated softly as we waited to open gifts, but the mood felt off. Dad kept glancing at his watch. Mom fumbled a spoon twice. Lily looked like she was about to burst. Everything all right? I asked. Mom answered too quickly, too cheerfully. Just excited. Lily giggled, then went silent when Dad gave her a warning glance. The tree blinked over a smaller pile of gifts than usual. I knew money had been tight, even if they'd never said so out loud. My eyes drifted to the gold-wrapped box holding the mortgage deed. Would it be enough to show them that logic and love weren't opposites? We took our usual places, Dad in his recliner, Lily and Mom on the couch, me by the window. That's when I saw a small box I hadn't noticed last night. It was wrapped in silver paper front and center under the tree. The tag in Dad's handwriting said, Lily. My chest tightened. Lily was practically glowing. Whatever was about to happen, I wasn't part of it. While I was lost in thought, my father handed me a gift box and said, Merry Christmas, my dear. I was startled. I didn't expect to have a gift. Thank you, Dad, I said, and opened the gift, my eyes filled with tears, until I saw the gift inside. A piece of paper. Just a piece of paper with the words, Our Pride. Love is always the best gift, you know that. My dad patted my shoulder. Before I could say anything, he continued. Okay, now for this gift. He nodding at the silver box. Mom already had her phone up ready to record. Lily glanced at me excited and oddly guilty. You're gonna be blown away, she said. I smiled stiff. I bet. The room shrank around me. All eyes were on Lily as she held the box. Snow fell softly outside, storybook perfect. Inside, I felt anything but. Slowly, Mom coached from behind her phone. This one's special. Lily, of course, ripped it open like a kid. Inside a small velvet box. Jewelry, I assumed. I figured it was Mom's sapphire necklace, the heirloom we'd always assumed would be shared someday. A pang hit me, then faded. It's just a necklace, I told myself. Just a thing. But it wasn't a necklace. It was a key. Bright brass hanging from a tiny house-shaped charm. Lily's eyes went wide. Wait. Is this what I think it is? She whispered. Dad leaned in, beaming. The yellow bungalow on Maple Street. The one you always loved. It's yours. Mom was crying, happy tears still filming. We closed on it last week, she said. It's all yours now. The room spun a little as it sank in. My sister had just been given a house. The yellow bungalow was a 2-bedroom gem in a trendy neighborhood, walking distance to cafes and shops. I'd seen it listed months ago for nearly $400K. I knew my parents couldn't afford it, not with the foreclosure notices I'd found. Lily leapt up, throwing her arms around them. This is unbelievable. How did you manage this? She cried. Don't worry about that, Dad said, choked up. We've been planning this for a long time. You need a fresh start, a space to grow without worrying about rent or roommates. I sat frozen, coffee cold in my hands. They were giving Lily a house while ours was weeks from foreclosure. It didn't add up. Wow, I managed, sounding far away even to myself. That's generous. All three turned like they'd just remembered I existed. Lily's guilt flickered, then vanished into glee. Mom looked uneasy. Dad unreadable. I pressed gently. I thought money was tight. How'd you swing a house? Dad's face darkened. It's complicated, Julia. There are things you don't know about our finances. Lily's had a tough time with housing. Mom chimed in. You have your apartment, your job. She needs this foundation. Then Dad dropped the line that always stung. You'll understand one day when you're a parent. Message received. Lily needed saving. I was fine. Lily deserved big gestures. I was self-sufficient. I thought of the papers upstairs. The money I'd spent saving this house. Money I could have used for my own future, for a home of my own. I remembered years of polite nods at my promotions, while Lily's every sketch got applause. Right, I murmured. Of course. Lily had moved on, talking about paint swatches, garden beds, housewarming parties. Mom jumped in with curtain ideas. Dad proudly mentioned they'd prepaid the taxes. I sat there unseen while they buzzed around her. My gift, those mortgage papers, felt heavier than ever. Would Dad be grateful when he opened it? Or just ashamed? Would my gift now feel showy in comparison? Or worse, like a ploy for attention? When can I see it? Lily asked, hugging the key like treasure. We can swing by later, Dad said. It's ready. Utilities are on, house has been cleaned. You really kept this a secret, Lily laughed wide-eyed. I asked, when did you start planning all this? Mom glanced at Dad. About 6 months ago, she said, when Lily's landlord hinted at selling. 6 months ago, the same time I found foreclosure letters and noticed Dad growing quiet on our weekly calls. I took a breath. It's very generous, I said. Your gift's coming too. Sweetheart, Mom added quickly. A gorgeous cookware set, you mentioned learning new dishes, a house for Lily, pots and pans for me. The contrast was so ridiculous I nearly walked out. Thanks, I said, polite and numb. I'll use it. Lily held up the key. Wait, there's something engraved here. It says, Adam's family home, Dad said proudly, because it's yours and part of the family legacy. Family legacy. The phrase echoed. I looked at the box with the deed inside the real family home. They almost lost the one I saved. Should we keep opening gifts? I offered, trying to sound normal. Yes, let's, Mom said quickly. There's still plenty under the tree. The rest of the morning blurred. I smiled at the cookware, thanked them for the scarf and earrings, and watched Lily unwrap art tools, throw pillows, even a kitchen starter set. I gave them my carefully picked presents, a rare book for Mom, a handmade watch for Dad, and a pastel set Lily had been wanting. But the biggest one, Dad, still sat untouched under the tree. The longer it stayed there, the more I considered pretending I'd left it at home, mailing it later, maybe never at all. But I couldn't. Whether it was pride or a need for clarity, I had to let him see it. So I waited, smiled, sipped coffee, and braced myself for the moment that would shift everything. The floor filled with shredded wrapping. Mom collected ribbons for her craft stash like every year. Lily was already making a shopping list, asking about utility hookups and whether the house came with a washer. I kept a polite smile plastered on, nodding, laughing on cue, feeling like a background actor in someone else's Christmas movie. Their family, not mine. A family with favorites and buried truths. One gift remained mine to Dad. The gold paper shimmered under the lights. I'd wrapped it with extra care, trying to reflect just how much it meant. Best for last, Mom said cheerfully. That one's from Julia for you. Dad looked up from helping Lily with paint samples, surprised. Oh, we've got one more? He set the tablet down and leaned forward. Something fancy from our financial genius, he joked. But his eyes betrayed something, nervousness maybe. Did he know? Was he afraid I'd found out about the house? Oh, it's nothing, I said, defaulting to modesty like I always had. Come on now, he replied, reaching for it. You always give good gifts. He started unwrapping, slowly peeling tape like he was saving the paper. Normally sweet. Today, agonizing. I held my breath. Finally, he lifted the lid. His face fell. Curiosity turned to confusion in a heartbeat. He parted the tissue paper. There it was, the mortgage release letter, and the deed now free and clear. His smile disappeared. He froze, staring, like the documents might disappear. What's that? Mom asked, leaning forward. Julia. Even Lily paused, lifting her eyes from her phone. I swallowed. It's the house, I said softly. The mortgage. I paid it off. Everything stopped. Even the music seemed to cut out. Dad's hands shook as he read the top page. How was all he managed. Back in October, I said, voice level. I saw the foreclosure notices in the attic while helping Mom. The house was 3 months from being taken. Mom gasped. Foreclosure. Robert, what is she talking about? Dad turned pale. He looked years older. I was going to tell you, Margaret. I just thought I could fix it by buying Lily a house while this one was collapsing. The words shot out harsher than I meant. Lily blinked, stunned. Wait, Dad, were we about to lose the house? Dad set the documents down, slowly stalling. Business has been rough, he confessed. COVID costs delays. I drained our retirement just trying to stay afloat. But we still fell behind. You didn't tell me, Mom whispered. Her face was pale with shock. I was trying to fix it, he said. Didn't want to scare you. By buying me a house, Lily said, voice rising. Seriously? He avoided our eyes. That house cost less than this one. We planned to sell this place before the bank took it and move in with Lily until we got stable again. Everything locked into place in my head, and it made me sick. It wasn't a gift, it was a safety net. For them. Lily sank into the couch. It wasn't a gift. You were making me your backup plan. That's not what we meant, Mom said quickly, but her tone sounded unsure. We plan to tell you later, Dad mumbled. But it doesn't matter now. He continued, eyes on the paperwork. Julia paid it off. He looked at me, ashamed, shocked, and somehow relieved. How? That's over 200 grand. I sold off investments, cleared savings, took a loan against my 401k, I said evenly. You risked everything, he said, more a fact than a question. Yes, I confirmed. Why didn't you say anything, he asked. Why go behind us? I stared right back. Would you have let me help if I'd asked, or told me you had it handled like always? He didn't respond. We both knew he wouldn't have. Lily looked down at the key. So, is the house even mine now? Silence. The perfect Christmas fantasy had disintegrated. Years of favoritism, secrets, and silent hurts laid bare. I broke the silence. We need to talk. For real. About money. About fairness. About us. Dad nodded, still holding the deed. Yeah, he said hoarsely. We really do. The quiet stretched. Outside, snow kept falling, soft, steady, indifferent. The tree lights flickered, casting shadows on 4 people who finally saw each other clearly. Mom stood slowly, her body stiff. I need tea for this, she said, voice tense. Extra strong. I'll help, Lily jumped in clearly, relieved to escape. That left just me and Dad, the mortgage documents sitting between us like years of silence. How long has the business been in trouble? I asked quietly. He rubbed his face and sighed. Really struggling. 3 years, but the signs were there long before that. I just ignored them. You never told me, I pressed. I'm in finance, Dad. I could have helped. You're my daughter, not my advisor, he muttered, his old pride showing. It wasn't yours to fix. But making it Lily's problem was fine, I said, sharper than I meant. He exhaled. Not our proudest idea. We thought we were helping her and saving ourselves at the same time. Mom and Lily came back with tea. No one touched the cookies. Let's be honest now, Mom said, sitting far from Dad. Robert, just tell us. How bad is it? Dad finally admitted. The business is gone. I've burned through everything, savings, retirement. We had $3,000 left and were 90 days from foreclosure. And the bungalow? Lily asked, stunned. How'd you even buy it? Dad nodded. It was a bank-owned property. $190,000. I took a loan on my life insurance. The mortgage is lower than here. So your plan was to lose this house and move in with Lily, I said. Start from scratch, Dad said. Just me. Smaller jobs, rebuild slowly. While crashing at my place, Lily added, not hiding her irritation. It wasn't permanent, Mom said. Maybe a year. Lily shook her head. Were you waiting until I moved in? After I called it home today, Dad replied. We figured once you saw it as yours, it'd be easier. We'd just be guests. Guests with an agenda, I muttered. Unfair, Julia Mom snapped. We were desperate. We did what we thought was best. The silence asked it for me. Was this all just a lie? Mom looked down. We didn't lie. We just left things out. And you? Mom, I asked. You really didn't know about any of this. She glanced at Dad, then her mug. I knew we were struggling. Just not how bad. Your father handles everything, Margaret. Dad began. She cut him off. But I've kept things from you too. I've been having serious migraines, dizziness. I've seen multiple doctors this past year. Now Dad looked stunned. What? Since when? How didn't I know I made the appointments when you were at work? Mom said. Paid in cash so nothing showed up on our bills. She gave a dry laugh. Looks like we've all been hiding things. Lily slammed her mug, tea spilling. This is insane. Our entire family is built on lies. Mom's sick. Dad's bankrupt. You're planning to crash at my place. And Julia just quietly pays off the house I was trying to help, I said, trying not to sound defensive. Yeah. By hiding it just like them, she snapped. Her words hit. I had gone behind their backs, even if my reasons felt different. Why didn't you just tell us? Dad asked again. I exhaled. Because you never listen when I offer. You've always made it clear I'm on my own. Lily always gets help. If I told you then, you'd say not to worry and shut me out. Is that wrong? Dad said. I wanted you both to be strong. Only one of us had to be, I replied. Lily got safety nets. I got expectations. That's not fair, Mom said quickly. No, it's not, I agreed. You cheer louder for one of Lily's paintings than for any of my accomplishments. We are proud of you, Dad insisted. Pride isn't support, I said. And it sure doesn't explain giving Lily a house while you're losing your own. Lily finally spoke. She's right. You've always treated us differently. Mom and Dad looked at each other, caught off guard. You treat Julia like she's self-sufficient, Lily said, which makes me feel like I only get noticed when I'm falling apart. I was stunned. I'd always thought she enjoyed being the favored one. That can't be true, Mom whispered, uncertain. It is, Lily said. I've envied Julia for years for her stability, her confidence. I've always felt like the weak one. I stared. You're jealous of me. They've always favored you. They don't favor me, she said. They worry. That's not the same as respect. We all sat in stunned silence. Had we been reading this family wrong for years? Dad finally spoke. Maybe your mom and I messed up. We thought we were doing what each of you needed, but really we just kept making things worse. And we've been lying to each other. Mom murmured, reaching for Dad's hand despite everything. All of us, she repeated. So what now? Lily asked, holding the key like it burned her fingers. What about the bungalow? This house. Dad glanced at the papers, then at me. Julia saved our home, he said. She gave up a lot. The least we can do is stop hiding. It was a start. But questions still clung to the air like fog. Would Dad rebuild? Was Mom okay? What would become of Lily's house? And what would happen to us now that every role we'd clung to had crumbled? I looked at the three people I'd known all my life, wondering if I had ever really seen them before today. We moved to the kitchen. Mom insisted food would help us think straight. It was oddly comforting, her pulling leftovers, Dad setting the table like nothing had changed. Lily and I sat across the counter, the keys between us like a silent witness. I want to know everything, I said. No more protecting us. Dad sighed and quietly served himself a tiny portion. It began before COVID, he said. Big companies moved in from Boston and undercut my bids. He trimmed costs, fired staff, worked nonstop. Then the pandemic wiped everything out. He took out one loan, then another, hoping things would rebound. But delays, penalties, and unhappy clients piled up. Why didn't you say any of this before? I asked, frustrated. He gave a bitter chuckle. What Dad wants to admit, failure to the daughter who's a finance expert. I could have helped, I said. If you'd let me. Would you take advice from me if our roles were flipped? He asked softly. That stopped me. Maybe pride would have kept me silent too. Mom cleared her throat. Since we're being honest, I need to tell you about my health. She'd been battling migraines, worsening, frequent, exhausting. 3 neurologists, dozens of tests. Still no answers. Mom was surviving on meds that left her foggy and exhausted. I didn't want to worry you, she said, and I wasn't ready to admit it might be serious. Do they think it's serious? Lily asked, her voice gentler now. They're not sure, Mom said. But the new doctor wants me to go to Boston for more tests. Tests we can't afford, Dad added softly. Suddenly everything made sense, the secrets, the finances, Lily's house. They were both drowning and too afraid to say it out loud. I need to come clean too, Lily said, about my art career. We looked at her stunned. The gallery gig, gone months ago. I've been working at a cafe to survive. Haven't sold a single piece in over a year. But you talk like things are going well, Mom said, confused. Lily's smile was hollow. You expect me to be the artist chasing her dream. But I'm 32, and I might have failed at the only thing I ever loved. You've been struggling more than we thought, Dad murmured. She nodded. And you thought I could support you? I can't even support myself. The truth settled between us like dust. We'd all been performing, acting out roles instead of living our truth. And what about you? Julia, Mom asked. What haven't you told us? I stared at my plate. I've pretended your approval doesn't matter, I admitted. But I've spent my whole life wanting it. Wanting you to care about my work the way you care about Lily's. Oh, sweetheart, Mom said, reaching for my hand. I'm not trying to guilt trip you, I said. I'm just done pretending. I've envied the attention you give Lily. Turns out she's envied the respect you give me. Lily met my eyes with a faint, bittersweet smile. Dad shook his head. The irony is, we thought we were doing right by both of you. We propped up Lily because she seemed vulnerable and left you alone because you seemed strong. We never meant to make you feel less, Mom added. We love you both, just differently. Maybe that's the problem, I said quietly. You loved us differently, not equally. That afternoon we kept talking, finally unpacking years of silence, resentment, and roles we didn't ask for. There were tense moments, of course, but also rare flashes of recognition, even warmth. For the first time, we saw each other, truly saw each other, not as roles, but as messy, vulnerable human. As the sky dimmed, Dad brought us back to reality. Julia saved this house, he said. But the bungalow, we can't afford it. We could sell it, Mom said. Rebuild a little security. It was meant for you, Lily, Dad said. A fresh start, a real gift. Lily glanced at the key, still untouched. I think I need to do this myself, she said. No more rescue missions. Not this time. She slid the key back to Dad. Sell it. Help yourselves. Help Mom. You're sure? Mom asked softly. Lily nodded. I need this to be mine. My struggle. My win. My brain kicked into analyst mode. The market's strong. You'll get more than what you paid. It could buy you time. And the company, Dad asked, meeting my eyes in a new way. Let's review the books I offered. See if we scale down or close it for good. I'd appreciate that, he said, pride and humility mingling. As we spoke, something shifted between us. The walls were down. The truth was raw, but real. It hurt, but it felt like a new beginning. This might be our most honest Christmas, Mom said, putting on more coffee. None of us argued. 6 months later, we were back at the table, but everything had changed. Summer replaced winter, and somehow we'd grown too. The windows were open. Mom's new garden, part therapy, part joy, filled the air. Doctors finally named it vestibular migraines. Treatable, manageable. The meds helped, but gardening helped more. It healed something deeper. Dad, once tired and heavy, now moved with purpose, cooking like he used to. We'd shut down the business 3 months ago. A hard call, but the right one. I'd helped make it happen. Dad landed a job as a construction manager, steady hours, lower stress, and benefits that covered Mom's treatment. How's the new place? I asked Lily while we set the table. She smiled, a real one, soft and clear. It's small but mine, and I can afford it. Lily had faced the truth about her stalled art career and took a leap. She used her art and cafe experience to become a marketing coordinator at a local brewery. She still made art, but now on her terms, not as a survival tool. They love my art, she said. I'm designing their seasonal beer labels. That's amazing, I said, and I meant it. The rivalry between us had faded. What remained felt real, supportive. The house we saved now reflected change inside and out. The walls were brighter. Family photos returned, especially those of Lily and me before everything got complicated. We gathered around the table. For once it felt easy, natural, no masks, no lies, just us. We'd learned the hard way, truth hurts, but hiding it hurts worse. I've got news, I said as dinner wrapped. I'm being promoted senior advisor, full portfolio. That's incredible, Julia. Mom beamed, genuinely proud. They want me to focus on family planning, I added. Guess our story gave me real insight. Dad chuckled. You've earned it. You saved us. We all saved us, I said softly. Truth did that. Lily set her fork down. Can I ask you something? Julia, are you really okay with all this? You gave up so much to save this place. Have you rebuilt what you lost? Her voice held concern, not envy. It meant more than she knew. I took a breath. I'm recovering. The promotion helps, but what I got back means more than money. I thought if I achieved enough, you'd see me as worthy, like you did Lily. We've always valued you, Mom said gently. I know, I nodded, but we showed love in all the wrong ways. You and Dad spoke achievement. I needed something more. Mom and Lily had their emotional shorthand. We all loved each other, just not always in ways the others could understand. Dad nodded. I thought letting you handle things was respect, not distance. I didn't realize it felt like I was pulling away, he said. I tried to shield everyone by keeping problems to myself, I said, but that just built more walls. After dinner, we sat on the back porch. Fireflies danced in the summer dusk. In the months since Christmas, we'd made regular dinners a tradition where honesty was a rule, not a risk. The bungalow's sold, Dad said as we sat. Closed yesterday. We knew it was coming, but it still hit with weight. How do you feel? I asked Lily. She paused, relieved. That place held too many tangled emotions. Feels like a clean break. The sale paid off what we owed, Dad added. Left us with a modest cushion. We also started a family emergency fund, Mom said. This time with clear ground rules. No pride games. A new tradition. Handling money with openness, not ego. We even wrote up a simple agreement, not from distrust, but understanding how silence caused harm. As night settled in, Dad pulled me aside. I never really thanked you, he said. Not just for the money, for making us confront the truth. I didn't handle it gently, I confessed. There were better ways. Maybe, he said. But we needed a wake-up call. Then he hugged me for real. Not a polite shoulder pat, but something warmer. I've always been proud, he said. But now, I truly see you, and that matters more. Driving home, I thought about what used to sting most. You'll understand someday. He'd been wrong. It wasn't about favorites or unfair gifts. What I learned was far deeper. That families are flawed systems run by flawed hearts. That love shows up even when it stumbles out crooked. And that only honesty, painful, raw honesty, can build something that lasts. The mortgage papers that changed everything now rested quietly in Dad's drawer. Not just numbers, but proof of something far more human. By saving the house, we'd save something inside us too. Without meaning to, I had made us rebuild the real home, the trust and understanding that make a family more than shared DNA. As I parked at my apartment, Lily's group text popped up, a beaming selfie in her cozy place captioned, "Art for joy, not for rent." We checked in regularly now, finally growing the sister bond we missed out on as kids. Someday had arrived sooner than we thought. That Christmas, the real gift wasn't a house, it was truth. Thank you for listening. May your story too find its way to truth, healing, and new beginnings.